As the clock struck midnight, Alex found himself alone in the old Victorian mansion. He had inherited the house from his late uncle, but it had been abandoned for years. Alex was excited to move in and make it his own, but as he stepped through the creaky front door, an eerie feeling washed over him. The air inside was stale, and the walls seemed to close in on him. The dim moonlight barely illuminated the dusty furniture and cobweb-covered corners. Alex felt a chill run down his spine as he made his way through the empty rooms, the silence pressing against his ears. He decided to start unpacking in the master bedroom, the only room that felt somewhat habitable. As he unpacked his belongings, he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. He kept glancing over his shoulder, but there was no one there. Was it just his imagination playing tricks on him? The next day, Alex woke up to find the house in disarray. Cabinets were left open, chairs were moved, and he could have sworn he heard footsteps during the night. He dismissed it as his imagination, but the unease grew stronger. As the days passed, strange occurrences became more frequent. Objects would disappear and reappear in different places, and Alex would often hear whispers in the empty halls. He tried to brush it off as his imagination, but the sense of being watched persisted. One stormy night, Alex was awoken by a loud bang. He grabbed a flashlight and cautiously made his way downstairs. To his horror, he found the front door wide open, and the wind howled into the house. He was sure he had locked it before going to bed. Someone or something had been inside. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Alex decided to investigate the history of the house. He discovered that his uncle's family had a dark past. Rumors circulated about a previous owner who had gone mad and died in the house. Locals spoke of strange happenings and unexplained disappearances. Alex delved deeper into the history and uncovered a hidden room in the basement. As he entered the room, he felt a malevolent presence. The walls were covered in dark symbols, and a chilling aura filled the air. He realized that the house was haunted by a vengeful spirit that had been trapped there for years. With the help of a local historian, Alex learned that the spirit was seeking revenge for the atrocities committed by the previous owner. Alex realized that he needed to confront the spirit and put its soul to rest to free himself from the haunting. Armed with knowledge and courage, Alex performed a cleansing ritual in the hidden room. The spirit manifested, a dark figure with glowing red eyes and a twisted expression. It screamed and wailed, trying to intimidate Alex, but he stood his ground. Alex pleaded with the spirit, acknowledging the pain and suffering it had endured. He promised to right the wrongs of the past and help the spirit find peace. As he spoke, the spirit's expression softened, and its cries turned into sobs. With a final burst of energy, the spirit dissipated, leaving behind a sense of relief. The house felt lighter, and the darkness that had lingered for years lifted. Alex knew that he had finally put the spirit to rest and brought closure to the house. As the sun rose the next morning, Alex stood outside the house, taking in the fresh air. He felt a sense of triumph and relief. The house was finally free from its haunting. Alex decided to stay in the house, determined to make it his home despite its dark history. With the help of a local contractor, he repaired the damages caused by the spirit's wrath and gave the house a fresh coat of paint. He filled the once empty rooms with his own furniture and decorations, bringing warmth and life back into the old mansion. As time passed, Alex found peace and contentment in his new home. The strange occurrences ceased, and the house felt welcoming and inviting. He made new friends in the small town and became a part of the community, no longer shrouded in the rumors of the haunted house. One day, while digging in the garden, Alex uncovered a hidden cellar that he had not noticed before. Intrigued, he descended into the dimly lit space, only to find a chest covered in cobwebs. He cautiously opened it and discovered old journals and letters that belonged to the previous owners of the house. As he read through the documents, Alex learned the tragic story of the spirit that had haunted the house. He discovered the true history of the house, including the injustices that had been committed by its previous owner. He felt a surge of empathy for the spirit and understood why it had been seeking revenge. Determined to right the wrongs of the past, Alex embarked on a journey to uncover the truth and bring justice to the spirit's story. He researched historical records, tracked down descendants of the previous owner, and sought legal advice. With his unwavering determination and the evidence he had gathered, Alex was bold to bring the dark secrets of the house to light. The town was shocked by the revelations, and the previous owner's descendants were forced to confront their family's dark past. They issued a public apology and made reparations for the injustices committed years ago. The spirit, finally at peace, moved on to the afterlife, leaving the house forever. With the house's history now revealed and the spirit's unrest put to rest, Alex found closure and solace. The town embraced him as a hero, and he continued to live in the house, now a symbol of redemption and a beacon of hope. The once abandoned mansion had transformed into a beloved home, and Alex's life took on a new purpose as he became a best-selling author, sharing the true story of the house and the spirit's redemption. In the end, Alex's courage and determination not only freed the house from its haunting but also brought justice and closure to a long-forgotten story of injustice. The house stood tall, now filled with warmth and happiness, as Alex started a new chapter in his life, forever grateful for the lessons he had learned and the home he had come to love. And in the quiet moments, he would sometimes feel a gentle breeze, a whisper of gratitude from the spirit that had finally found peace. Mark, a young and ambitious writer, had just moved into his dream home, a secluded cabin deep in the woods. He craved solitude and tranquility to focus on his writing, and this cabin seemed like the perfect place. However, Mark soon realized that something was off about the place. Strange noises echoed through the halls at night, and Mark felt like he was being watched. As Mark delved into his writing, he stumbled upon an old journal hidden in the attic. The journal belonged to the previous owner of the cabin, who had mysteriously disappeared years ago. In the journal, Mark found chilling accounts of paranormal occurrences in the cabin. The previous owner had experienced inexplicable events, including doors slamming shut on their own, eerie whispers in the night, and even glimpses of shadowy figures lurking in the corners. Despite the growing sense of unease, Mark brushed off the journal as mere superstition and continued to immerse himself in his writing, determined to finish his novel. As days passed, Mark's mental state began to deteriorate. He became plagued by vivid nightmares and started seeing things that weren't there. He heard voices whispering his name, and the cabin's walls seemed to close in on him. Mark's grip on reality started slipping, and he became consumed by fear and paranoia. One stormy night, as Mark was working late, the power went out, plunging the cabin into darkness. Armed only with a flashlight, Mark ventured into the basement to check the circuit breaker. But what he found was beyond his worst nightmares. Strange symbols drawn in blood adorned the walls, and the air was thick with a malevolent presence.
As Mark investigated further, he uncovered the darkest story of the cabin. It turned out that the cabin was built on an ancient burial ground, and the spirits of the restless souls were trapped within its walls seeking revenge for their disturbed
resting place. The previous owner had fallen victim to the vengeful spirits, and now Mark was their next target. Desperate to escape the cabin's grip, Mark tried to leave but found that all the doors and windows were mysteriously sealed shut. He was trapped, the haunting intensified, and Mark's sanity crumbled as he was tormented by terrifying apparitions and nightmarish visions. In a last-ditch effort to break free, Mark decided to confront the spirits head-on. He braved the darkness and ventured into the basement, where the malevolent presence was the strongest. But instead of a terrifying showdown, Mark was confronted by a shocking revelation. It turned out that the spirits were not seeking revenge, but were actually trying to communicate with Mark. They were the souls of a long-forgotten tribe, who had been unjustly massacred on the very spot where the cabin now stood. They needed Mark's help to uncover the truth and bring justice to their souls. With newfound determination, Mark embarked on a journey to uncover the truth about the tribe's tragic fate. He delved into the history of the land, consulted with local historians, and unearthed evidence of the tribe's existence. Through his relentless efforts, Mark was able to unravel the mystery and bring closure to the spirits. As the spirits found peace, the cabin's haunting ceased, and Mark was finally able to leave. He packed his bags and bid farewell to the cabin, forever changed by the experience. He went on to write a best-selling novel based on his harrowing experiences in the cabin. The book garnered widespread acclaim and became a literary sensation in the horror genre. Mark's career soared to new heights, and he continued to write successful novels that captivated readers with his unequal storytelling and unexpected twist. However, despite his professional success, Mark was never the same after his ordeal in the cabin. The memories of the paranormal events and the toll it had taken on his mental health haunted him, He became obsessed with the supernatural and spent countless hours researching and investigating paranormal phenomena. One day, Mark received an anonymous letter that sent chills down his spine. The letter contained a cryptic message, warning him that the spirits from the cabin were not gone, but merely lying dormant. Mark's curiosity got the best of him, and he couldn't resist the urge to investigate further. He returned to the cabin, bracing himself for what might await him. As he stepped through the door, he felt the familiar sense of foreboding. The cabin appeared unchanged, but Mark sensed a palpable presence lurking in the shadows. As Mark delved deeper into the cabin, he uncovered new clues that revealed a darker truth. The spirits were not at peace, but had been merely biding their time, waiting for Mark's return. They were stronger and more malevolent than ever, and they were determined to exact their revenge on Mark for disturbing their rest. Mark found himself once again trapped in a nightmarish battle against the vengeful spirits. He faced terrifying manifestations, fought against unseen forces, and struggled to maintain his sanity. With each passing day, the spirits grew more powerful, and Mark's grip on reality slipped further. In a desperate attempt to escape, Mark sought help from a local psychic who revealed that the spirits were connected to a cursed object hidden within the cabin. Mark realized that he had unwittingly unleashed the spirits by taking the object with him when he left the first time. Armed with this new knowledge, Mark embarked on a race against time to find the cursed object and break the spirits' hold on the cabin. He faced treacherous obstacles and heart-stopping encounters, but his determination never wavered. In a climactic showdown, Mark finally located the cursed object and destroyed it, unleashing a powerful burst of energy that banished the spirits from the cabin forever. Mark barely escaped with his life, but he was finally free from the cabin's haunting grip. As Mark left the cabin for the last time, he realized that his writing had forever changed. He had witnessed firsthand the horrors that lurked beyond the veil of reality, and his stories took on a darker and more chilling tone. His novels continued to be successful, but they were now infused with a sense of foreboding and the macabre. Despite the closure he had found, Mark remained haunted by his experiences in the cabin. He couldn't shake off the lingering feeling that the spirits were still watching him from the shadows, and he was forever changed by the darkness he had faced. Mark's life took a dark turn. He became a recluse, forever tormented by the memories of the cabin and the spirits that had haunted him. And just when Mark thought he had escaped the horror, he received a package in the mail, a familiar cursed object, accompanied by a chilling note that read, "We're not done with you yet." Mike, a young writer, had recently moved to a remote cabin deep in the woods. He was seeking solitude to overcome his writer's block and finish his latest horror novel. One stormy night, a power outage left him alone in darkness. He lit candles and tried to stay calm, but he couldn't shake off the eerie feeling that he was being watched. As the days passed, Mike's unease grew. He found strange scratches on the walls and heard whispers in the silence. He searched the cabin but found nothing out of the ordinary. One night, he woke up to find his bedroom door wide open despite having locked it. His fear intensified, but he was determined to stay and finish his book. One evening, Mike heard footsteps upstairs. He grabbed a flashlight and cautiously climbed the stairs. He was greeted by a chilling sight, a ghostly figure staring at him with hollow eyes. Mike's heart raced as he tried to communicate with the spirit, but it vanished into thin air. He was convinced the cabin was haunted, but he couldn't bring himself to leave. Desperate for answers, Mike delved into the cabin's history. He learned that it was once owned by a reclusive writer who mysteriously disappeared. Locals spoke of strange occurrences and eerie happenings. Mike was determined to uncover the truth, and he became obsessed with the cabin's dark past. One night, Mike was awakened by a vivid nightmare. He saw the ghostly figure beckoning him towards the basement. He followed the ghostly apparition, and it led him to a hidden room. There he found a manuscript written by the previous owner, revealing the horrifying truth: the cabin was a gateway to another dimension, and the ghost was trapped between worlds. Determined to break the curse and free the ghost, Mike searched for clues on how to close the portal. He discovered a ritual that required him to perform a series of intricate steps. With trembling hands, he performed the ritual, facing numerous obstacles and encountering malevolent entities along the way. Finally, Mike completed the ritual. The cabin shook violently, and the portal closed. A ghostly figure vanished, and the cabin returned to normal, relieved. Mike thought the horror was over, but he was in for a shock. As he packed his bags to leave, he looked in the mirror and saw the same hollow eyes staring back at him. He realized he had become the new ghost, forever trapped in the cabin. As the curse had transferred to him, The story ended with a spine-chilling twist, leaving readers questioning what had really happened. Years later, a new writer moved into the cabin, hoping to find solitude for his writing. He stumbled upon Mike's unfinished manuscript and was drawn to the mystery of the cabin. As he delved deeper, he began to experience strange occurrences, and the cycle of horror started anew, leaving readers to wonder if the curse would ever be broken, and the legend of the haunted cabin continued to haunt those who dared to venture into its solitude. It was a dark and stormy night. John, a young writer, found himself alone at home in his isolated cabin in the woods. His wife, Mary, had gone to visit her parents, and he was looking forward to some peace and quiet to work on his next horror novel. As the night wore on, John began to feel uneasy. The wind howled outside, and the rain beat against the windows. He heard strange noises, creaking floorboards, and whispers in the air. His imagination ran wild, fueled by his own eerie surroundings. The next morning, John woke up to a power outage. The cabin was plunged into darkness, and the storm was still raging outside. He tried to call Mary, but his phone had no signal. He ventured outside to check the generator, only to find it had been tampered with. John realized he was completely cut off from the outside world. As he explored the cabin, John made disturbing discoveries. His laptop was smashed, and all his notes for his novel were scattered on the floor. His favorite pen was missing, and there were strange scratches on the walls. He couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. As the days passed, John's isolation turned into a living nightmare. He experienced bizarre occurrences that defied explanation. Objects moved on their own, shadows lurked in the corners, and strange symbols appeared on the walls overnight. John's sanity began to unravel as he struggled to understand what was happening. Desperate for answers, John delved into the cabin's history and discovered that it was built on an ancient burial ground. Legend had it that restless spirits haunted the land, seeking revenge for their disturbed resting place. John became convinced that he had unwittingly unleashed a malevolent force that was now tormenting him. Just when John thought things couldn't get any worse, he stumbled upon a hidden room in the cabin. Inside, he found a dusty old journal that belonged to the previous owner, Samuel. As he read Samuel's chilling accounts of similar paranormal experiences, John realized the truth. He was not alone. Samuel had intentionally lured John to the cabin, using the guise of selling it. He had conducted dark rituals to summon the spirits and had sacrificed innocent lives to gain immortality. Now, Samuel's spirit was trapped in the cabin, and he needed a new house to escape. John was determined to break the curse and free himself from Samuel's grip. He gathered all the clues he had discovered and devised a plan. He performed a risky ritual to confront Samuel's spirit and offered himself as the new host in exchange for ending the torment. In a heart-stopping climax, John faced off against Samuel's vengeful spirit in a battle of wills, with the cabin shaking and the storm raging outside. John used his wit and determination to outsmart Samuel. In the end, Samuel's spirit was banished, and the cabin returned to normal. John emerged from the cabin, physically and mentally exhausted but free from the paranormal phenomena. He learned from his mistakes and vowed never to meddle with forces beyond his understanding again. He reunited with Mary, who had returned home worried sick about him. Joe finished his horror novel, drawing inspiration from his harrowing experience. The book became a bestseller, and Joan's writing career skyrocketed. He moved on from the isolated cabin, but the memories of that dark period would stay with him forever, a constant reminder of the dangers of delving into the unknown. Years passed, and John became a renowned and respected author in the horror genre. His writing career flourished, and he published several more successful novels. However, despite his success, John couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that something from the cabin still lingered with him. Strange occurrences continued to happen around John. He would sometimes hear whispers in the wind, catch fleeting glimpses of shadows, and find objects mysteriously moved in his home. His nightmares were plagued by visions of Samuel's malevolent spirit, taunting him from beyond the grave. John became obsessed with finding answers. He delved deep into paranormal research, consulted experts in the field, and even revisited the isolated cabin, hoping to uncover the truth. But the more he dug, the more he realized that the cabin had left an indelible mark on him. His relationship suffered as he became increasingly consumed by his quest for answers. Mary, who had been his rock throughout his career, grew distant, unable to understand John's fixation with the cabin. His once thriving writing career began to suffer as he struggled to find inspiration amidst the chaos of his own life.
One day, while researching in the cabins or archives, John came across an old diary that belonged to Samuel's wife, and in it
He discovered the truth. Samuel's spirit had not been banished from the cabin after all. It had found a new host in John, and the paranormal occurrences were a result of Samuel's spirit continuing to haunt him. Faced with this shocking revelation, John knew he had to confront Samuel's spirit once and for all. He returned to the isolated cabin, armed with newfound knowledge and determination. In a climactic showdown, John faced off against Samuel's spirit, using his wit and the insights he had gained to outsmart his malevolent foe. In a twist of fate, John sacrificed himself, allowing Samuel's spirit to possess him fully. But instead of succumbing to Samuel's darkness, John found redemption. He managed to contain Samuel's spirit within himself, sealing it away in the cabin forever. The epilogue revealed that the cabin remained abandoned, with its dark secrets locked away. John's sacrifice had finally put an end to the curse, and he was remembered as a hero who had saved others from the same fate. Mary forgave him, and his writing career regained its former glory with a renewed sense of purpose. As the years passed, John's legacy as a horror writer continued to thrive, but he never forgot the isolated cabin and the horrors he had experienced. He often wondered if Samuel's spirit still lurked within him, but he had come to peace with it. The memories of the cabin remained a cautionary tale, a reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved and that delving into the unknown can come with unforeseen consequences. And though he had faced unimaginable darkness, John emerged with a newfound appreciation for the light in his life, cherishing the love of those who mattered to him the most, and finding solace in the power of redemption.